recording. I gotta get hype. I have no energy. I slept till like 11.
Let's go do some cocaine, and then we'll get hyped for the show.
I know where to get some cocaine.
Yeah, I
Factory.
I got a place.
Peter, it's time to cook. Hey, welcome to Mouthy Broadcast, everybody. Hi, I'm Jenny.
I'm Peter.
And we're not doing cocaine today. Just coffee. Just coffee. Lauren is probably taking a nap.
Yeah.
So we talked about on a couple episodes ago that Peter had been playing Grand Theft Auto 5 and was going to get me involved in his cocaine operation. And that has now happened. Yeah, I was up till I think I was up until like 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 3 playing.
It's actually really fun.
Yeah. Have gotten a couple people like taking out a personal vendetta against me a couple times. I mean, I had like one guy who just like basically stalked me, and as soon as I would respawn, he's killing me again. So that was fun.
Yeah, but then I put a bounty on him and somebody killed him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. There was another time after you logged off, though, there was a guy who just kept coming after me. But we managed to kill him. That was always satisfying when you get to kill the guy who's fucking murderifying you.
And it's usually just like some 9-year-old, like just being a dick.
Yeah, I'm sure. So yeah, like I accidentally robbed a liquor store. This shit happens.
Accidentally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. I hope none of this gets taken out of context. Like, we are talking about the game here. We're not. Because as soon as I said that, I heard sirens outside on the main road through town. I'm like, shit. Yeah.
We don't want the listeners to be like, man, they've gotten into some shady shit. Like,
I mean, I have, but that's completely different, and I'm not talking about that on the show. Yeah, this is the time of year that I'm going to start bitching about the weather and being hot and miserable when I'm doing the show for the first like 5 minutes, because it's not quite hot and miserable enough that I need to put on the AC and close up the house. Because I mean, I know you're in Florida, you have a different standard for what is hot and miserable there, but for me, like, I don't put the air conditioner on until like at least sometime in June, and it has to be like sustained miserableness for a few days in a row, and I haven't hit that point yet. But right now I'm just like, I have major fucking swamp ass in my own house. Like, I almost didn't put pants on for this show just because I'm like, no, it's hot in here.
it's been raining all week here, so that's been cooling things down when it's normally supposed to be getting really hot down here.
See, it doesn't do that here. Like, when it rains here, it just makes it more hot and miserable because it doesn't cool down. It stays hot, and then it's just humid as shit.
Well, all I can say is that the rain here it's like the weather here is like the island from Lost. It just randomly rains and then something bad happens and then
Smoke monster comes out.
Yeah. And then 5 minutes later, it looks like nothing ever happened.
Right.
And then we're all just left asking a bunch of questions that will never get answered.
And everybody's pissed off. Like, God damn it, Florida. I knew it the whole time. Why did you lie to me? So you saw Deadpool, right? Can we talk about Deadpool yet?
Yeah. I saw it last night, opening night.
Nice. Yeah, I went and saw it the other night. I personally enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than the first one. Well, let me take it back. I enjoyed the story a lot more. Like the story I think was built better than the first one. It wasn't as like it wasn't as funny. It wasn't as like wacky. But there were a few moments that they gave zero fucks, and I really appreciated that. Like right towards the end, and I don't want to get into it because you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I don't want to give any spoilers away since when this comes out, it's still going to be relatively new to people, and people might not have seen it yet. But there's a lot of, since they had more money for this one, there's a lot of like shit that they were able to do for this one that they weren't able to do in the first one.
Right, right. They got some weird big name cameos in the movie that I was not expecting at all.
Yeah.
And I just think overall it was just great. I was almost expecting to be kind of disappointed because the first one was so good, and I think they even broke the fourth wall a little bit more in this one than the first time.
Yeah, I was expecting to like it less because Deadpool is pretty much a comedy, and usually comedy sequels are shittier than the first one because
Mm-hmm.
they just kind of recycle the jokes. But this one actually worked because they kind of paid off some of the jokes that they set up in the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and they doubled down on it, but they also did new jokes that just completely worked and like set you up for stuff where like, oh, this is gonna happen. Then they just kind of like throw it all away and in a really funny way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so it was definitely worth it. I might actually even go see it again, just because like I saw it when it first came out because I was just like eager to go see it. My daughter's going to see it tomorrow, and I think I'm gonna go. I might just join in and just go see it again. Depends on what time, like if I can make it, matinee because I'm cheap. Uh, but it's probably the first movie I've seen in a while, like that I'm like I really want to see this again, like immediately, just because it was great. So
And
100% worth it.
they, speaking of the fourth wall, like they even like called it out when there was like a a plot contrivance. Like Ryan Reynolds would look at the camera and just be like, "Bad writing." Like,
Yes. Yes. And it made it great because like you knew that that was purposeful. Like all of it was purposeful. It wasn't just bad writing. It was bad writing to make a joke.
yeah,
you know. So I appreciated that, and I think it really fits in the spirit of Deadpool.
yeah. It was like it's like we know we have to do this for the sake of the story, but we're gonna like make sure that you're aware that we know that this is just for the sake of the story, and
Exactly. Exactly. Now, when you went, did you see the trailer for Bohemian Rhapsody before it?
yes, yes.
What do you think about that?
I really want it to be good. From judging from the trailer, like the trailer is just basically like a greatest hits montage of like their best songs and all of the iconic Freddie Mercury moments in his life. So like it's
Mhm.
just kind of like selling you as like, hey, this is Freddie Mercury, the movie.
Right.
And I want to see it in the theater just because I want to hear those Queen songs like in the fucking movie theater speakers.
Right. Oh, that I didn't even think about that. That's going to be kind of like a concert, live concert experience.
Yeah, and the guy that they got to play Freddie Mercury, he he looks like he's nailing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really surprised. Because it's always very tricky when they do a movie about somebody who's so iconic like that. Like, is this person gonna have the charisma, gonna have the same look? You know,
For somebody who was like the king of charisma, like
right, right. Like, even though I love the Doors movie and I love Val Kilmer, there was always a part of me that was kind of like, I kind of almost wish that they had just used the Doors recordings and just had him like basically lip sync. Maybe like use some old live recordings or something instead of trying to have him sing, because like I don't think that the actors ever quite get the same sound as the original. And I kind of hope that with this movie, like, I don't care how good of a singer this guy is, I don't think he's going to touch Freddie Mercury's voice.
Nobody can. I just hope that they just like let that one go and just use the old recordings.
Right. I mean, they used it in the commercial, like in the trailer, but you never know if they're going to, when it comes to the movie, are they going to have him try to sing and try to imitate Freddie Mercury? Because I'm just afraid that that's going to be just cringy as shit if they try to get him to sing.
Yeah, I mean, like I've heard like people do like YouTube covers of Queen songs, and like you're like, yeah, that sort of sounds like Freddie Mercury, but you're still not Freddie Mercury. Like you can't touch that voice.
Right. Nobody can. Nobody freaking can. Forever. I mean, he's not like technically like my personal favorite singer, but I mean, as far as like skill, he's just above and beyond, and I don't know. I'm still going to see the movie. Like, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, speaking of skill, like whenever I watch live concerts of Queen, like he'll run around the stage and like, do all sorts of shit, but like he still hits all those notes like without losing any of his breath. Like whereas you watch like Axl Rose or like other singers, like they're completely winded after running around and like they'll like, hold out the mic to the crowd for the crowd to finish the chorus or something.
Do my job for me.
Yeah. Whereas Freddie Mercury, like he never missed a note. Like,
right.
Like he was like from another planet.
Right. I mean, he may be. Him and Shatterstar.
I still think David Bowie's from another planet.
I think so too.
But that's neither here nor there.
I mean, I did theorize some time ago on the blog that they're both crystal gems from Gem Homeworld.
And that Prince is a Time Lord.
Prince is a Time Lord. But I also think he's a crystal gem, so maybe he's a crystal gem that moved to Gallifrey and became a Time Lord.
One thing that I did notice that came out following the trailer was somebody posted like a blog, and it was like they were calling out the movie for straight washing Freddie Mercury. And I read through it and I was like, how did you get that from a 2-minute teaser trailer that had nearly no dialogue and was just basically like the greatest hits of his life?
Yeah. Like, because he looked at the girl like, I mean, I've heard mixed reports about like his sexuality, like whether he was bisexual or whether he was gay and just he was with this woman as a like platonic life partner sort of thing. And I can see where somebody like who's being completely ignorant would look at this trailer and say like, oh, well, he was gay, so they're trying to change his personality with him looking at this woman, The
way I saw it was that this is a teaser trailer. They're trying to sell you a movie about Freddie Mercury, so they're just going to show you all of the cool Freddie Mercury shit. They're not going to show you him like fucking a dude in the ass. Like,
that's a completely different movie.
I mean, they're going to show like, Bohemian Rhapsody. They're going to show him at Live Aid. Like, they're going to like, they want to be like, hey, do you like Freddie Mercury? Come see this fucking movie and you'll see Freddie Mercury shit. Like,
right.
Like, it didn't really give much of a story. It was just like, hey, we're doing a Freddie Mercury movie. Like,
right.
Get hyped.
I did see something also that that they may not even be bringing up the whole HIV issue, and somebody was kind of pissed off about that. And I don't know if that's kind of a related issue to what we're talking about.
That's not something you put in a teaser trailer for a movie. It's like, oh yeah, Freddie Mercury was awesome. Get ready to see this movie. Oh, but at the end, he dies of AIDS. Like
spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to bet that's going to be how the movie ends. Like he realizes that he's got AIDS and then dies a few weeks later, which is what really happened.
Right.
It's just they're not going to put that in the teaser trailer for trying to sell this movie to just everybody, even people who aren't really into Queen that much.
And I could even see them possibly just leaving it out entirely, and not in a way to try to like straight wash or to try to gloss over it or anything, but just here's this larger than life character that actually existed. Let's talk about him and his life as he was and his work, and let's remember him like as this iconic person, Freddie Mercury, and not, the later parts of his life that were not as glamorous.
Well,
Um,
also Freddie Mercury himself, he never wanted to talk about his sexuality in the press because his policy was always just like, that's my business, it's not yours. Like,
right.
so even if they don't make it part of the movie, I would consider that, well, they're just honoring Freddie's wishes, where it's like, that's he wanted to keep it his own business. Like,
Right. I mean, that's definitely a possibility too. Um, and the other thing I thought was I wasn't sure whether it was supposed to specifically be about Freddie Mercury or about the band altogether, and like maybe his role in the band. Because if it's about more about the band, they're not going to go into like his personal life, you
yeah,
know. Um, but it's kind of hard to tell from the trailer. Like we've been saying, it's like a 2-minute clip.
yeah, of
At
just
some point, are you just trying to look for something to get pissed off about from a fucking trailer?
yeah. I'm gonna withhold any outrage until I hear more about the movie or see the movie itself, because like this is just a teaser trailer. I'm not gonna get outraged about something that I can't even verify at this point.
Right. Which reminds me, I saw there. Uh, okay, so there's been some back and forth about the Han Solo movie, which comes out this week, um, and apparently there was a hoax rumor that started about there's going to be a spin-off Lando movie, and people were getting pissed off that again they're playing off of the original trilogy and that whole thing, like, oh, come up with some new characters, blah blah blah. And I just thought it was funny that number one, I would fucking watch a Lando movie with Donald Glover. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this.
Yeah, I thought they should have done that before a solo movie, like because there's more story to be told with Lando. We don't know that much about him.
Right. And yeah, I think that would have been probably just as good or better of an angle than a Han Solo movie, and like let Han Solo come into it when they cross paths eventually.
Yeah.
But definitely think it could have been great. But I thought it was hilarious that people got punked by it so freaking hard. I mean, there was like an entire article written about it, and then they had to come back and like edit. Yeah, this was just a hoax. Sorry, guys.
There was another one about the rumored Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. They're like, yes, they've released, the plot synopsis, and then like people Googled the plot synopsis, and it was the same as a comic book from the expanded universe listed on Amazon.
Oh my god.
And it was like word for word, like they didn't even try to like change it up in any way, and it was like, oh, okay, I guess that's not it.
I still don't know what to do half the time when I see a hoax online. Like, part of me, the pretentious uh type of or the pretentious side of me wants to go and like explain to people like, hey, this is a joke and you should probably Google before you get all fucking outraged and spread fake news. On the other hand, like I just want to share it and just be like, oh my god, look at this, and then help perpetuate the myth because it's hilarious to me. And I kind of wanted to do that for the Lando movie. I was like, I should just share this. This would be great, because they didn't change the header or anything for the article to say like, to say that it was a hoax. Like when you reshare it, it was still going to look like, the actual thing. And everybody knows nobody reads the fucking articles. Everybody just reads the title and the headline, and reacts to it.
Whenever I share an article on Facebook, I pull a quote from the article that sums up for me what I got out of the article, because I know nobody's going to fucking read the article itself.
Right. I'm just going to start pulling the most like out of context shit from the article and just get people to try to read it. I know y'all didn't read this shit.
Oh, I should do a blog post for Mouthy Broadcast where like we do like this awesome like, summary for it, but then like just have like a completely blank post and see if anybody notices it.
Not to say that you shouldn't do that, but I have seen it done. And I have shared those many, many times. Like it'll have something like really not clickbaity, but it just have a very like knee-jerk reaction inducing headline. And you just share it, and the whole article will be about like how you should actually read past the fold on the articles and that sort of thing.
Yeah. I saw a lot of those during the election where it was like, something Trump just fucked, a little kid in the ass or something. It's like if you read the article, it's like, no, actually read the articles. Like, don't just share shit. Like,
right. Well, that's one of the reasons why I muted a lot of people back during the fabulous election period. I think a lot of people are still muted. I didn't ever bother to re-add them. I was like, didn't miss you. Bye.
Yeah, I had to unfollow a couple people because I was just like, okay, I get it. You like Bernie. I like him too, but just stop. Like, he's not like, Jesus 2.0. Like,
right.
Like, this is becoming a cult. Please stop.
It probably started out as a cult, to be fair. Man.
I just want to do it like kind of as a personal experience, just to see like what my friends would do. Like when I write something, like are my friends actually reading it, or are they just saying that they read it just to appease me?
Right. The friendship test.
Yeah.
That's when you like subtly ask somebody like, oh, like how I was talking about in the podcast the other day, and just dive into like saying something about it and see if they're like, wait, what were you talking about on the podcast? Oh, you don't listen to my show? Well, fuck you. Sorry, I don't actually do why I do that.
This week on Mouthy Broadcast, we discuss X, Y, and Z, and then somebody comments like, oh, well, I heard something about X, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, we talk about that in the show if you would just listened. Like,
Right. And obviously, if somebody's listened to this point, we're not talking about you, so don't get all fucking butthurt about it. I get that a lot sometimes, like where I'll say something about like if you blah 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 blah, and like just straight up throw shade at people, and people will get all like defensive about it and say like, well, it wasn't me because I did this. Like when I talked about people who didn't stop by my Tidewater Comic-Con table, like I straight up was like, oh, it's funny how like so many people checked in at the Comic-Con and didn't stop by my table to say hi, but I had it filtered, so like pretty much anybody who saw that, it didn't apply to you, or you didn't live in the area so you couldn't come by or whatever. But a lot of times I'll post something like that and somebody will say like, well, it wasn't me because something, and they get like really defensive, and that's when you realize that they have the guilty conscience. They called themselves out. Which is a fun experiment I like to do on my Facebook page sometimes.
I had a good excuse. I was in another state.
Yeah. Well, see, like that doesn't count. That doesn't count. Or people were sick or just weren't able to come or whatever. But like I sat there and I saw people that I knew walk by my table, and I'm like, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, that's I mean, you promoted that you were going to be doing a thing like many times. Like people knew that you were doing the thing at Tidewater.
Mm-hmm. I took pictures from my table, and people that I saw walk by liked those posts.
and as your friend, I would have, if I were there, I've been like, oh, well, we should make sure to stop by Jenny's table, like, and check out her shit. Like
well, I do appreciate that.
It's, I don't know, like friends should support friends' artistic endeavors, no matter how important or unimportant it may seem to you. Just
a little effort now and then, just stop by and say hi.
like I think I referenced this in another episode, but it's like that episode in The Office where Pam has her first art exhibit, and she tells everybody at the office, like, come see, like, this is really important to me. No one shows up. And at the end, she's like in tears. But then Michael Scott shows up at the very end. He's the only one who shows up, and he's just telling her, like, I really like this. And like, she's just like bawling because like someone finally cared, you know?
Right. And I'm sure it was even more impactful because she probably didn't expect that it would be him of
Yeah.
all people.
Yeah. Because he was doing like other shit throughout the day. Like he had like his own subplot where like he had like a really bad day. He was getting shit on, and like it didn't seem like he would be the one to show up to check her out. And then just him going there and just saying like, yeah, I really like this. Like I actually want to hang up some of these in the office. Like that meant the world to her. Like just one person.
Right.
Like,
Sometimes that's all it takes is just a little bit of encouragement to, you know, let your friends know that you support them.
yeah.
So, speaking of which, I should probably talk about this then. I've been on Deprogrammed once. I'm going to be on Deprogrammed again. This is a podcast that our friend Justin does. He's been doing this for a couple of years now, since the Radio Free Radio days, where basically they do a top 10 list of a band. We've talked about this in the past, whatever. I'm not going to go into it all again, but sometimes he'll have people on like as experts about a band, which I can't really call myself an expert on any band except for maybe the Beatles. But sometimes he has people on like to discover new bands and like, well, not new bands, but bands that you just haven't checked out before. And I did one about Superdrag. I did one about somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but I'm going to be on soon to talk about Phoenix. So I'm really excited about that because if you've heard Phoenix, you probably only heard one of two songs that they overplayed the shit out of on the radio about like 10 years ago-ish. It was like Listomania and 1901. And if you don't know the song titles, I'm sure you've heard the songs if you listened to the radio at all 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But like I've listened to like most of their discography, and it's actually really I like it a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest. But I haven't got all the way through it yet. I need to put my list together, and that should be like in the next like 2 weeks or so. So go over to Deprogrammed. They're on iTunes, they're on Stitcher, they're on Google Play, like pretty much wherever we are, you can find Deprogrammed. And you can even get all of their like back issues of the back catalog issues of the show, so you can go check out bands like that they did 2 years ago, and maybe something that you've been wanting to check out and you want to get an idea of what a band is about or something like that. And then Justin's always looking for people to join in on the panel, so go over to their Facebook page and there's a list. There's like this giant list of bands that he wants to talk about. Just sign up.
Yeah, if you're really into a band and like there's like an open spot, like he'll be like, yeah, come on the show. Like as long as you're not shy about talking about shit on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
Like I was a last minute addition to the Faith No More one, but I was so happy to do it because I was like, oh, I get to talk about Faith No More for an hour. Awesome.
I think you were literally at the last minute. Like I was driving up there to go be on the show when we found out that somebody had to cancel. And I was like, hey, Peter, what are you doing?
But I think that was one. I came in as like the expert on that because I've been listening to them since I was like a teenager. So I was just like, yeah, like, like this album's great. This album's great. And you're like, everybody's like, yeah, well, I just kind of heard this for the first time. And
right. Well, the thing is for me, like, because you got me into listening to Faith No More, we kind of meshed up maybe a little bit too well on certain things because you were like, hey, check out this album. And we've talked about things and kind of are on the same wavelength with songs. So, but it's always fun. And I'm happy that I got to do like two of them pretty much like right at the beginning of the return of the show. So Yeah.
I'll be doing a few more. I don't know. They haven't been scheduled yet, but I'm on the list. I'll be doing Garbage, Guns N' Roses, Van Halen, and Modest Mouse.
Nice. Nice.
And I'm looking forward to all those because I really like those bands.
And I'm kind of looking forward to some of those too because they're ones that I wanted to delve into more, and I like having that like guide to go listen to, to know which songs to pick out,
And when we talk about Van Halen, we will not discuss Sammy Hagar.
Right, you have to narrow it down.
That doesn't count. That wasn't Van Halen. That was
No, definitely not. Anyway, we should go ahead and wrap this up. So, yeah. You would think after like 6 years of fucking doing the show that I would know how to wrap it up, but no, I don't. I just stumble and then trip over the end of the show.
It's always like, oh, we should probably stop now instead of like having like some kind of bit that we do at the end.
Nah. No, fuck that. That's like for professionals and shit. Yeah. So yeah, we're Mouthy Broadcast. We're at mouthybroadcast.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon at Mouthy Broadcast. And you can call us at 757-541-CUNT. And we'll see you next Tuesday, motherfuckers.
Bye-bye.
Lost.
Wasted.
Oh my goodness. My goodness gracious. Okay. Sorry, patrons, we didn't do really like an extra pre-show thing. We kind of forgot. Well, we didn't forget. We were just kind of talking, and we were just like, oh, maybe we should record this for the pre-show, and then we just end up just going right into the show. It happens.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Deal with it, bros.
Not maximum effort.
Okay. How do I